የተወደዳችሁ የሰላም ካቶሊክ ቲቪ ተመልካቾቻችን ቤተክርስቲያን በተልዕኮ ላይ በተሰኘው ፕሮግራማችን ዛሬ ልዩ እንግዳ እዚህ ጋብዘን ውይይት ለማድረግ አቅርበናል። እሳቸውም ብፁዕ ካርዲናል ፍራንሲስ አሪንዜ ይባላሉ። የካቶሊክ ቤተክርስቲያንን ለረጅም ዓመታት በቅድስት መንበር ያገለገሉ በትውልድ ናይጄሪያዊ ረጅም ጊዜ በናይጄሪያም በካቶሊክ ቤተክርስቲያን በትልቅ ደረጃ ለቤተክርስቲያን አገልግሎት የሰጡ ቤተክርስቲያንን የመሩ አባት ናቸው እና በቅድስት መንበር የሰሩትን ስራ ማዕከል በማድረግ አጭር ቆይታ አድርገናል። ካርዲናል ፍራንሲስ አሪንዜ እዚህ ለመጀመሪያ ጊዜ በአዲስ አበባ ተገኝተው በዓለም አቀፍ ደረጃ የካቶሊክ ቤተክርስቲያን ያዘጋጀችውን አንድ ጉባኤ ለመካፈል ነው እዚህ የተገኙት። በዚህ ጉባኤ ላይ በርካታ የቤተክርስቲያን የበላይ አባቶች፣ ካርዲናሎች፣ ጳጳሳት፣ ምዕመናን እዚህ አዲስ አበባ ይገኛሉ እና ብፁዕ ካርዲናል ፍራንሲስ አሪንዜም በዚህ ጉባኤ ለመሳተፍ ለመጀመሪያ ጊዜ እዚህ አዲስ አበባ ኢትዮጵያ ተገኝተዋል እና እሳቸው ለቤተክርስቲያን የሰጡት አገልግሎት በጣም ሰፊ ስለሆነ ለኛም ግንዛቤ ለማግኘት ይረዳን ዘንድ የካቶሊክ ቲቪ ከእሳቸው ጋር ቆይታ አድርጓል። Your Eminence, Cardinal Francis Arinze, we are very grateful that you accepted our invitation to give us an interview on the ministry of the Church Universal, the Catholic Church, and we are humbled, to have you here in the Catholic TV, and we would like to introduce your eminence to our viewers, and we are very thankful to the Lord that you are here for the first time in Addis Ababa, and we would like to ask you a few questions while you are here for a conference, an important conference on marriage and family, and we are taking advantage of your presence here and taking time with you. I would like in the first place to ask you, instead of that I do it, that you introduce yourself to our viewers. Cardinal Arinze Francis from Nigeria, renowned cardinal, and it would be good to say a few lines concerning your religious life.
All right. Thank you, Father Petros. It is a joy for me to be in your country for the first time. Other times, I only passed through at the airport, Addis. This time, I'm in the city. My name is Francis Arinze. My country is Nigeria. My parents were followers of African traditional religion. That means the religion our people had before the missionaries arrived. They adored God, one God, and then spirits and ancestors. They did not know what to offer to God, but they thought they prayed to the ancestors and spirits, and these will obtain gifts from God. It was a good preparation for Christianity. Later on, my parents became Christians. One by one, my mother first, then my father. And all my brothers and sisters, 7 of us, we were trained in Catholic schools, so we became Christians. I was baptized. Indeed, the priest who baptized me is Father Cyprian Tansi in 1941, and my first confession with him, my first communion, I was his mass server at the altar, 1945. Later, he became a Trappist monk in England. He has been beatified by St. John Paul II in 1998. Cyprian Michael Iwene Tansi. So that is my background. I went to the Catholic school. When I finished, I wanted to be a priest. I was accepted in the junior seminary. So then I did the years in the junior seminary, 6 years, then senior seminary, 3 years in Nigeria, 4 years in Rome, and finished finally, ordained priest in Rome, 1958, and then back to Nigeria with doctorate in theology. In 1960, I was, for 2 years, professor in major seminary, Bigad Memorial Seminary, Enugu, and then in charge of schools, education secretary. Finally, bishop, assistant, 1965, the last year of Vatican II, and then that's it. Then 1984, Pope John Paul II transferred me to Rome. So this is me.
Thank you very much. A very rich life and history of your priestly journey or religious life. And just only a little insight into your presence in Rome and the time that Pope John Paul II, the saint, he invited you to come to Rome to serve the Universal Church. Can you say a few words about your service at the Holy See since you came to Rome?
Thank you. Yes, the Pope posted me to the office for contact with other religions. We call it Pontifical Council for Interreligious Dialogue. That is, contact between the Catholic Church and all other religions, except the Jews. Because the Jews, the link between Judaism and Christianity is very close. So there is a separate office for that. My office was with all the other religions. That means Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, African traditional religion, Sikh, Baha'i, any religion except the Jews. That took me 18 years. It brought me to about 60 countries, especially in Asia. The reason is this: the Catholic Church believes that Jesus Christ is the Savior of every human being. But some people don't know the Catholic Church. They don't know Christ. It is their fault or it is not their fault. But they are human beings, and Christ died for them, even if they do not know him. Which means every human being is important. Which means the religion of other people, we must take it seriously. If you respect me, you have to respect my religion. If you respect your friend, another co-citizen, you have to respect their religion. We all live in this world, so we must therefore have a way to contact one another, to act together. If we are citizens of a country, the roads, communications, water, electricity, politics, government, these don't respect the boundaries of one religion, which means interreligious collaboration is important. We need it in the world of today. The Second Vatican Council issued a document on that called Nostra Aetate because of the two first words. In our times, contact between people of many religions have increased. So, the Catholic Church, through Vatican II, wants Christians to be in friendly relations with other believers. See what they can do together. Try to understand one another. Not to pressurize them. Not to force them to become Christians. If they want to be Christians, that is good. But they are not bound. Religion is proposed, not imposed. So we don't contact them so that they will become Christians. but we contact them so that we all will make this world better. If in that effort they begin to love Christianity, that is God's grace. That's what I can say about it.
Okay. Thank you very much. So the ministry of the Church in this respect is, since Vatican II, the document Nostra Aetate, and you have contributed a lot on that progress. And how do you evaluate it? I mean, the reception and, what the Church is doing now at this moment to promote still the dialogue between the different religions.
In the world today, there is plenty of contact between people of different religions. Some travel for diplomatic reasons in the name of their government, some for academic reasons, universities, studies, sciences. Some travel for commercial purposes. Some travel for holiday. So there is plenty of contact between people of many religions. It is better that we associate with one another and try to see what we can do together. It's better than to ignore one another. So the Catholic Church does not say that through this office everybody has the same opinion. No. Because we are different, we must make effort to listen to one another, to try to understand one another. If we understand one another better, we can do many things together. You will notice in the world, in some countries, there is one dominant religion. But the people who belong to another religion should be allowed respect, freedom, so that they can also practice. This is the sort of thing. You notice the Pope then meets everybody. And Christians are therefore asked to do their best to be a good neighbor to everybody. That's what it is about.
In the context of Africa, interreligious dialogue is very, very important. As we see in different countries, there are this African traditional religion. We have the Muslim communities in different countries. And there is also progress made on this respect as well.
Yes, and we have Christians.
Yes, Christians, yeah.
And those three major religions have to find ways to contact one another.
Yes. So when we come to the Christians also, the church have also this separate dialogue sessions for the Christians only, and we call it ecumenical dialogue. And that is also important for the situation of Africa, ecumenical dialogue. Can you reflect on that as well?
You are right. The Second Vatican Council also spoke on that. Of course, if all Christians believed the same thing, prayed in the same way, were singing in the same way, and all custom the same way, there will be no need for ecumenical contact. But de facto, those who believe in Christ, the number has increased. The number has grown from the time of Christ. And Christ prayed that his followers may be one, as he and the Father are one. Division between Christians, especially when they are unfriendly, such divisions are against the will of Christ. Because Christ prayed for charity between his followers. Gradually, as Christianity grew, there was misunderstanding. In the beginning, it was a question of culture, far away, east, west, then language. Gradually, sometimes human respect, sometimes human weakness. Because in the church, you notice elements that are divine, but also elements that are human. Even the apostles showed also human elements, like when John and his brother were, through their mother, lobbying to get the first places in the kingdom at the right and at the left of Christ. So Christ did not approve of that. He gave them a lecture on humility and working together. So we who are Christians, whether no matter what tradition we follow, we must first thank God that we know about Christ, the Son of God, who came into this world for love of us and for our salvation. But we also regret there is division between Christians. Some of those divisions are due to historical reasons. What are we to do? At least meet them. At least listen to others. At least try to understand them. Hold meetings with them. Gradually then, you will find that there are many things they can do together. And that those Christians, they find out there are many things on which they agree. But unless they contact one another, they will not know all that. So, ecumenism is effort to contact one another among Christians and see what we can do together. It does not mean to knock all Christians into anonymity like matches in a box. If you open a box of matches, they are all the same. Ecumenism does not try to reduce Christians like that, doing violence to them. No. Because the various traditions in Christianity are beautiful. So ways for harmony and collaboration, that is working together.
Thank you, Your Eminence. So when we stay also on ecumenism, you have this, the church has dialogue with the Catholic Church, with evangelicals, and then also with the Orthodox Christians. These both are very important, and it differs also from country to country. And when we come to the African context, the evangelicals, the Protestant churches, and Pentecostals are present in many of the countries here in Ethiopia, but also in Nigeria. The Catholic Church is engaged, I suppose, ecumenically with evangelicals. And this is very important. I mean, Orthodox dialogue, but also evangelicals, Pentecostals, it's divided. I mean, because of the nature of, as you said, the division, historical reasons are different. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, the situation varies. The situation is not the same in every country. You have named your own country, Ethiopia, with all your rich history. You have named Nigeria. Of course, I would understand Nigeria more than I understand Ethiopia. Every country, we have to make effort to understand ourselves, to understand our history, to understand our brothers and sisters who are also Christians, but not in our own brand of Christianity. In Nigeria, for example, we have more those who follow the Anglican or Presbyterian or Lutheran, those breakaway Christians at the time of Reformation in Europe. Gradually, when the British colonizers came, they brought with them also Anglicanism. So that is the fact now. We have to try to live with that. We have to try to meet our brothers and sisters. we have to try to understand them, and they also understand us, and try see what we can do together. Much. Schools, education, hospitals, fairness in political elections, persuade politicians to be calm, to tell the truth, to accept if a politician loses election, if he wins, not to celebrate too much, to accommodate others. When you win, you must be at the service of all the people, including those who did not vote for you. This is a sort of thing that we do in ecumenical contacts. If there are people who quote religion to promote tension, then it is the work of religious leaders to try to moderate them, to show them that that is not right, and to tell them what is a better alternative. You can see there's much work.
Yes. Yes. And the relation with the Orthodox churches worldwide, this dialogue is also important when it comes to, for example, in Europe, the Eastern Europe, Russia, but also in other countries where there is war or other kinds of disaster. The Christians have to work together. You mentioned earlier, collaboration is very important among the Christians because they are preaching the gospel of love, the gospel of unity.
You are right. Between the Catholic Church and the Orthodox, there is much in common. The faith on the sacramental foundation, baptism, confirmation, Holy Eucharist, Holy Orders, is very strong. And that matters very much. Many of the differences are due to historical reasons. We need a lot of patience with one another. We need a lot of charity for one another. And we need a lot of flexibility, openness, knowing that my own brand of Christianity is not the only type.
Yes, yes. Thank you. And so promoting Christian unity is an important ministry of the Church, and the Church has a dicastery for promoting Christian unity led by a cardinal in the Holy See, and that is very important because the Christians should be together, united, so that they can give a united witness to the world, and then give the gospel values, transmitted together to the world somehow troubled. So that brings us that the unity of Christians, when they stand together, they can dialogue with the Muslim brothers and sisters in that way. The unity is also important so that they can have a good dialogue, encounter with other religions.
Excellent. You have often used the word unity. We can also use the word harmony. We can also use the word collaboration. We can also use the word working together. We can also use the word moving together. In life, then, one openness brings the door open to another openness. We need it. Much depends on the leaders, because those who are followers very often look up to their leaders.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So this context, then when we come to Ethiopia, we have Christian communities, Orthodox, Catholic, and Evangelicals. And it is about 60 to 65%, and we have also Muslim community here, well represented, more than 30% of the population. So for us, it's very important, to have a dialogue between Christians and the Muslims. So from your experience, how can you encourage us, to continue the dialogue and living together in harmony in this country of 120 million inhabitants? I mean, the second largest is from Africa. Nigeria, your country, is the first largest country with Muslims and Christians living together, but Ethiopia is also the second largest in population size, but also the representation of Muslims and Christians are also big, and it can be compared. So we would appreciate if you give us some encouraging word so that we can engage with each other in dialogue, as you have a long experience in this field.
Very good. Religious leaders like priests or those who represent them, or bishops or catechists or local leaders, let them accept that other human beings are created by God, that those other Christians believe in Christ. What unites them, baptism, Eucharist, is more important than what divides them. Let them, therefore, have a heart open to other people. Let them not become rigid. Let them not become impossible. Let them be open. Try to understand another. But to understand him or her, you have to meet them. You cannot understand if you don't listen to them, if you don't meet them, if you don't do anything together with them. How can you understand them? So it demands effort from both sides. In that, then, they must continue, even if they do not see the results in one day. Continue in faith and hope and love, because it is really necessary. Also know that the leaders have a duty to motivate their followers. If the leaders are open and flexible, it will be less difficult for the community as a whole to ecumenize, to meet the others, to act with them, to see how to make your country a better place in which to live, to see how in society, politics, government, commerce, trade, contact at village level of city becomes possible, because the leaders have done their best to facilitate inter-Christian contacts.
Yes.
It is very necessary.
Yeah, and all these contacts and collaboration is also important to be present, also to serve the society at large with humanitarian activities, charity activities. Just in this context, I would like to raise also, after you became Archbishop in Nigeria, you had to leave your office, the Curia, because of during the war in the Biafra, and then you helped refugees, and these refugees were not all of them were Catholic, but you served them as a human being. Can you give us insight into that ministry you did during that period?
Thank you. The civil war in Nigeria, Biafra, began 2 days after I was made Archbishop.
2 days?
2 days after. So it was 3 or 4 years of hardship. As bishop, as archbishop, it was my duty to help the people, those who have no house, refugees, displaced people, wounded people, hungry people, sick people. Organize also the medical area, the nurses, the doctors. Help the people to accept one another. Granted, inter-Christian contact does not mean to deny our identity. I do not deny who I am. Indeed, it is important for me to have a clear idea of who I am so that I can meet another without damaging myself. During a civil war is a very harsh reality. People leave their homes. Parents with children are rushing away from a war front. So to help them, to organize relief work, to help those who have, not to raise the price of articles because of war situation. More important still, to talk with the leaders, the military leaders, the political leaders, that war is not a good thing. There must be a better alternative. Collaboration, dialogue, discussion. No matter how they disagree, they should at least discuss. They should try to understand one another and try to study what they can do together. This becomes the contribution of religion, genuine.
Yes. And in Ethiopia here, we know also in the last period we had also internal conflicts here, and we are now in the aftermath of this conflict, and the government and civil society and the religious leaders are making efforts to do transitional justice, to reconcile and to promote reconciliation among the different groups and to finally bring harmony and peace in the country. And you mentioned that dialogue is very important in this respect to build peace. After I mean, your experience in Nigeria, but also in other countries, what would you say for people or nations who are still at war, or just, you know, the war they have behind them now, after warring, now trying to make reconciliation? What would you advise?
War is not a good solution. There is a better solution. No matter the differences, no matter the causes, we don't solve it by killing one another, using the little money we have to buy arms to kill the other person. That is not the solution. It only makes more problems. So people will say, you say this because of religion. Response, but it is a fact. Think of all the wars on in the world today. Isn't it terrible? Pope John Paul II, now saint, called war adventure without return. You enter and you are caught. So human beings have to learn to look for another solution, different from violence, different from killing other people, different from destroying houses.
Reconciliation is very important.
Definitely, definitely.
And that only will bring peace, lasting peace, among the different communities in the country.
Yes, because peace means respect for the rights of others.
Yes, yes. Thank you. And can you give us a little bit insight into the Nigerian Catholic Church? We know the Nigerian church is strong, many vocations, many religious congregations, also local. It would be good to have a little insight into it.
Every country is different. And even in the same country, Nigeria, there is a great variety between the dioceses. Some areas have not enough candidates for priesthood or religious life. Some areas have many. So we learn even in Nigeria to share. Also, the formation or the training of the candidates becomes very important. It is not enough that a young man becomes a priest or a young woman becomes a sister. It is also necessary that they really are well schooled, they are well trained in this vocation, and they live it with conviction. It will make a very big addition to society, definitely.
When it comes to vocation, to the priesthood or to the religious life, Africa is a young generation, a young, many young people are living in Africa. What would you advise them?
Africa has to thank God that we have received the light of Christ, Christianity. In some parts, especially south of the Sahara, it is the last 200 years. Ethiopia is much older, Egypt, Sudan. But whether we are new Christians like Nigeria or older Christians like Ethiopian, we must strive to follow Christ in a more genuine way. Each of us can become a better Christian. None of us has become a model. We must keep on making effort.
Yes. And Ethiopia, as you mentioned, is a nation with a long history, with the Orthodox Church preserving, Christianity for a long period of time, since the time of the apostles. And now also the Catholic Church is present since 4 centuries, and now evangelicals. So for the Christian community, it's very important to be in harmony and to be working together. And what is your wish for Ethiopia?
My prayer for you is joy, peace, mutual understanding, working together, harmony, and justice.
Thank you very much, Your Eminence, for your time and for this precious interview you gave us. And we wish you also all the best in your future, long life with health. That is our wish from here, Ethiopia, from the Catholic TV.
Thank you. And may the blessing of Almighty God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit descend on you and all Ethiopians and all those who listen to us and remain with you forever.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. እንግዲህ ዛሬ ከፍራንሲስ ብፁዕ አሪንዜ ጋራ ያደረግነው ውይይት በዚህ ያበቃል። የበለጠ ግንዛቤ እንዳገኛችሁ ተስፋ በማድረግ እንግዲህ እግዚአብሔር አሁንም ቤተክርስቲያናችን በመላው ዓለም ከሌሎች አብያተ ክርስቲያናት ጋር እንደዚሁም ከሌሎች እምነቶች ጋራ የምታረገውን አገልግሎት ይባርክልን። ይህንንም የቤተክርስቲያን ተልዕኮ የበለጠ እንዲጠናከርና እንዲስፋፋ ሁላችሁም በጸሎታችሁ እንድታስቡ አደራ እንላለን። ሰላም እንቆይ። እግዚአብሔር አገልግሎታችንን ይባርክ።